Hey guys, we're here from Radiant Clean. Today we're doing a roof in Valrico, Florida. Gonna take a climb up there, see what we got. I can tell from down below, it's pretty dirty. Yeah. It's got gutters, which is good. That makes capturing the runoff a little bit easier, but it's otherwise in pretty good shape. Not seeing any real missing shingles or anything. Looks like there's some soft spots in it though. You can kind of see the color difference there with the chimney. This roof has seen better days. So we already did some protection. We put some bags on the gutters to collect runoff. So we're gonna get the pressure washer powered up and start doing pre-wetting, wet all the ground and stuff. Even though there shouldn't be much runoff with this job, still like to make sure that we're protecting from overspray and that kind of stuff. So probably gonna hit this today with about a 5% mix of sodium hypochlorite, as well as a little bit of surfactant. But we're gonna crank this out while it's still cool here. It's actually cooling off here in Florida right now, which is nice. So we prefer those cooler weathers when we're doing roofs. So, all right guys, we're gonna get this wetted down and we will be back in a minute. Talk to you soon. All right guys, so we've got the ladder up and we got everything else set up. Dante's gonna start wetting down the yard back here. Go ahead. Just to protect from overspray. There's not much to worry too much about here with overspray. It looks like a lot of that garden is gone. This doesn't have gutters here, so we're gonna have to be careful with this section.
On the side too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really anything over there.
And that one doesn't have gutters on this side either, so we are gonna have to watch the runoff where there's no gutters. So, but most of it is not planted. We'll have to watch the yard over here. It's already got some dead grass there anyway. So, but we will take our effort to make sure we're not killing that with the runoff. The reason we do the pre-wetting is it will, the roots will soak up the water, so they're less likely to absorb the SH. And then we go through and wet it again after we're done so that we can dilute it. And then obviously we keep spraying while we're actually doing it. So
Gonna have to probably go around the other way.
all right guys, Dante's still wetting out down there. Gonna get the chemical flowing on this bad boy. It'll take a minute to get the chemical actually flowing through. This roof has seen its better day, but get some of the mold and mildew off there. Just takes a minute for the chem to go through. We use a very scientific method to test whether the chemical's coming through, which is smell. Smells like it's starting to come through now. Yep, there we go. Got come. Alright, let's start over here. And like usual, I don't just go crazy with the spraying, so you see some of it's going to run down, and we want to try to manage that. We want to waste as little chemical as possible. Make sure we're getting a thorough treatment, but we want to make sure that it's being used judiciously. So we'll let some of it flow down, that way we're not getting too much runoff. Look at that, you can see the color changing already. Almost instantaneous color change. That's satisfying. See it while it works. Shingles feel kind of brittle. I'm not sure how old they are, but and like I always say, you notice we're not using pressure, we're using our soft flush system, which just uses a 12-volt pump, and we're depending on a judicious mix of sodium hypochlorite and surfactant to actually do the washing for us, not pressure. You don't want to apply pressure to the shingles because that will damage them. It will wash off the granules. And you can see we don't need to apply pressure. It's already visibly cleaning this roof pretty dramatically without harming the shingles themselves. So I guess the industry standard, from what I understand, is that regularly washing your roof and removing the bacteria and algae and mildew will extend the life of your roof by about 5 to 10 years. Some say more. I don't have any data to back that up, but that is what they say. So I mean, I guess logically it makes sense. Now, you notice while I'm doing this, Dante is still down there spraying, and that is to dilute any overspray, any runoff, so that we're not killing the grass and the plants. That just helps keep it watered down. This is a strong mix, so if we were not pre-wetting or watering down and it got on the plants down there, it would definitely kill them. So you would see brown, dried up plants pretty quickly. Alright, and you can see the color just changing very rapidly on this roof. You can see some runoff is going to happen, unfortunately. try to keep it to a minimum though. Wow, look at that color change. Went from what you see over there to what you see over there. That's pretty amazing. Now we're dealing with wind.
Look at that wind.
I know. That always makes it fun when you're spraying bleach. See that color change right there between there's the old color, there's the new color. Pretty cool. It's very satisfying to see how quickly this can clean up a roof. Now, I've mentioned in past videos, but it's probably worth mentioning again. Typically, on most roofs, we do not rinse. So we will put this spray down and we will let it sit and let it do its work. And the longer it sits on there, the better. We don't necessarily want to be agitating these granules any more than we already have from the washing process. But we'll let the sun activate the chemical more, let it keep doing its job, let the stuff keep dying, and the rain will wash the residual mildew and mold and bacteria and stuff off. And so it may look a little off color, yellow in some places for a little bit until the rain washes it off, but that is a part of the process. Now, the one exception to that is metal roofs. We will typically wash off. They get like super hot and we don't want them to oxidize. So we don't want the bleach to oxidize the paint or the coating that's on them. We don't do a lot of metal roofs. I don't particularly like doing metal roofs. You can't really walk on them. They're dangerous to walk on. They get super slippery. When certain types of metal roofs we absolutely won't do because they have aluminum in them, or aluminum coating that oxidizes, and that we can ruin those. So if we are doing metal, we rinse that off. But shingles, tiles, both cement and terracotta tiles, we're not gonna rinse those. Just getting the edge here. Changing color as we do it. It's pretty cool. Alright, got the first coat down. I can already tell I'm probably going to need to hit a couple of these areas again. You see some of these dark blotches. So I'm going to touch up some of that. Those will continue to lighten as the sun hits them and as this dries out. But I just like to make sure that we're getting them sufficiently. So this was a pretty dirty roof, so it's going to take a little bit more than what we initially put on. So you can see here along the edge needs a little extra love. we're gonna let that sit for a bit. I think I got all the touch-up spots, but we'll let that sit and make sure. Meantime, we'll do some more watering down, and then once we're done there, we're gonna crank out our driveway real quick. Alright guys, what I'm doing now is we have some bleach neutralizer, and we like to go around with that, especially when we don't have gutters. And we'll neutralize some of this stuff and wash it down real good again. Sometimes there's not much you can do when there's no gutters. You can already see there's some shiny stuff on this grass. I think that's usually indicative of the bleach kind of getting on it, but there's not much we can do about that one. There's nothing to catch it. Alright guys, we're going to do one more walk through this roof. That is lightening up nicely. I think it's pretty much good. That's still wet, so it's going to keep lightening up as the sun hits it. Let me go over a couple of these spots just one more time while I'm up here, just to make sure, although they should keep lightening up. A lot of times that discoloration you see is it's dying, and it's just not all the way dead yet. So hit a couple more little spots, back up the ladder, and do this nice lady's driveway. We threw that in for free. The older lady, I think she lives by herself, so sometimes you gotta help people out. You can see, you can barely see that discoloration there. I'm just being a little picky. Hose is starting to go. Give me time for a new hose here. Hit that a little bit more. I think we are good to go. It's amazing the difference it makes. This is a very dirty roof. You can see how much better it looks already. And like I said, this will continue to lighten up as the sun hits it and as the stuff gets washed off. I think that's a wrap. Okay, now we're going to do our driveway for her. Get that cranked out. Lower this down. Alright guys, we're just finishing up on this job. We're going to start wrapping up our hoses. This driveway was unusual. It was so dirty that we didn't know there was paint on it. So we washed it as well as we could without trying to take up too much of the job. But it was pretty clean. So, but like I said, we threw this one in for free. So we got that a lot cleaner for it. It was black before. So these sidewalks were black. So, alright guys, we're going to wrap it up. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, we just wrapped up that roof job and I thought I would show you how much bleach a typical roof takes. So I'm not sure if you can quite see this in the tank. The front tank, you can see that yellowish fluid, that is the bleach. And so that was almost full as of this morning. And now we're down to about 70 gallon mark. So that took a little over, right around 30 gallons of bleach to do that roof today. So you can see that it is not a cheap thing for us to do. So we it's one of the reasons we can't go below certain prices. People will sometimes say, hey, why do you charge so much for roofs? It's because there's a lot of runoff and it uses a lot of chemical, and frankly we're climbing roofs and it's dangerous. So but anyway, I thought you'd find that interesting. You can see it does use a lot per roof, and it varies to whether it's shingle or tile, but you know, anywhere from 25 to 30 gallons is pretty typical. So hey guys, we'll catch you later, and we'll catch you on the next job. Thanks. Bye.